Hello. I'd like to tell you something about my latest novel. It's called The Other Family, and the subject of it, the theme, is inheritance. And of course, if you're going to write about inheritance, it means that somebody quite significant in the novel has to die. And that's what I do, I'm afraid. I kill someone off in the very first chapter. He's a man called Richie Rossiter. I always called him the piano man in my mind, because he had made his name in the 80s as a kind of crooner, balladeer, somebody who sang only nothing like as well in the manner of Tony Bennett or Jack Jones. He was born in Newcastle, and he'd made a name on the Northern Circuit. He'd married his childhood sweetheart and had a son. And then he was persuaded south. And who do you think he was persuaded south by? Yes, you're absolutely right, by a girl. A girl who said, a whole new market awaits you in the south. You're wasted just up here in the northeast. And so he left his wife, his son, and he came south to London, and he lived with this girl, and he had 3 daughters. And then, at the beginning of the book, he dies. And he leaves quite a complicated legacy. And the thing about legacies is that people who are left behind after somebody has died are rather inclined to measure how much they're loved by how much they're left. And in Richie Rossiter's case, there were 2 kinds of legacies to leave. There was the financial legacy, and there was the emotional legacy of his piano and his music. And I'll leave you to find out what happens. But for those of you who wonder why I chose Newcastle, I had 2 really good reasons. I wanted to contrast it with the half of the book that's set in London. I wanted to choose a part of England where there's an absolutely intense feeling of local loyalty, where people identify themselves very strongly by the place they've come from, the place they grew up in. And of course in the northeast this is very much the case. And the second reason was that Newcastle is without question a city of music. It's an extremely beautiful city. Those of you who haven't been, I really urge you to go. It's a wonderful place. And it has the most marvellous orchestra and an incredible music centre in the Sage at Gateshead. But it's not just about classical music, it's about folk music too. And folk music comes into this book, as you will discover if you are good enough to read it. It's the only university, I think, in the whole of the United Kingdom that has a serious 4-year degree in folk music. So when I was looking for a candidate for the second city in this novel, there were no competitors. Anyway, I've given you, I hope, a taste of the book. And I do hope you will read it, and I even more hope you'll really love it. Thank you so much.
Don't let me dream.